A few years ago, this would have been pre-pandemic, so I want to say it was December of 2019. I was during the busy season, the busiest season of running my pet care business. Everybody travels for the holidays, so that's the time of year when sometimes I made as much as 25-30% of my income for the entire year. And the cool thing about having my business in San Francisco, because you have to keep in mind that I started my business in Los Angeles, was that San Francisco is such a small city that that year my client roster, if you will, made it possible for me to be able to take public transit and or walk to all my appointments. And again, I sold my business a few years ago, but 2 years after this. But I I think the most appointments I had was like 16 in one day. And that's only possible if you have a car or if you live in a city like San Francisco, or I guess maybe New York, where it's very concentrated and you have clients that all live very close together. Again, there's reasons I'm giving all these details, by the way. So not only was I, have a million things running through my head, because especially towards the end, not the end, but like right before, in the few years before I sold my business, my clients were a lot of diabetic cats, dogs that, or properties that, had all different, like all different requirements, like people that got a bunch of packages, pets with, either medical issues, leash aggressive and or dog aggressive dogs. So in other words, these weren't pet care. Most of the majority were not pet care visits that the average, leave a key under the doormat, for the neighbor's kid could do. Somebody more experienced who, again, someone like me. By the time I sold my business, I had served around 1,200 pets, individual unique clients. And I actually think that this year, I'm pretty sure 2019 was the year that I sat on my parents' couch the day after Christmas and I booked my 1,000th client. So just to give you a sense of how crazy things were, craziest part of my business. And I was at Haight Street, no, sorry. Or is it Castro? Where Davies campus is. Okay. So I don't think it becomes Divisadero yet. I think it is still Castro, but I'm pretty sure that it's the intersection of Dubose and Castro, kitty corner to Davies. It's been a few years, but that's where it was. Actually, no, I'm totally wrong. It was literally the intersection of Divisadero and Haight Street. That's where it happened, by the corner store. So down the hill from the place I just described. Divisadero and Haight Street. I was waiting for the bus and to go to my next client. And all I remember was that an hour and a half later, I realized that I was missing the bag that had all my keys in it. Y'all, I don't know if in that moment, like, I had a very weird sense of calm, but I knew that this was bad. I knew that this was bad. I knew that this was something that I had to kind of keep to my, like, who do you tell? Like, I guess you fill in a police report, but For all I know, I had about 6 more clients to visit that same day, and then the next day, people are out of town. Again, like I said, diabetic cats. Um, I've taken care of cats that needed, like, inhalers, like, this was bad. This was bad. And if I remember correctly what happened, I wasn't used to carrying 2 bags. So again, not an excuse, totally irresponsible, and I actually think I know that this was all meant to happen the way that it did. Because what happened is I remember logging into Facebook and there was a message from somebody who found my bag. And I just remember thinking that it was so weird that it took me that long to realize that the bag with all my keys in it were even missing. And I think what it was is that the key that I needed, or the keys that I needed the most, were actually attached to my personal key ring. And then I had the rest of the keys in the other bag. Y'all, at the height of my business, I mean, I'm not trying to flex because it is San Francisco, maybe a little bit, I'm trying to flex, but like at the height of my business, I had damn near $1 billion worth of real estate in keys. Like I had Ziploc bags full of keys in my safe, and property in San Francisco is not cheap. So I don't know how many keys I had missing, but this was bad. So anyway, I remember I logged into Facebook and I saw that there was a message, somebody found my bag, and so I made plans to go back and meet with this person. And I'll never forget, this guy comes out, he gives me his address, and he's wearing a crew neck sweater that says gay uncle on it. Immediately my mind goes, I'm at ease. Something felt like I was meant to meet this man. And the crazy thing is, it's that, well, let me finish the story. So anyway, he handed me the bag. He was kind of joking, like, oh, I forget how, again, it's been a few years, but I forget how he actually found my information, but it took a little bit of digging. And he said, like, you might want to put, like your information in there in case this ever happens again, like something. And so I was so grateful. I don't know that he realized, or if I let on realize, what a big effing deal that this was. But I gave the man, like, he would not accept any money. He would not take any money. So I gave him a copy of my book, my first book, A Real San Francisco Story with Pets. And we kind of, kept in touch. I'm not even on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook anymore. So we've lost touch. But roughly a week or so after we met, I get another message from this guy, and he said, I have a feeling that you're special. And he said, I want to share this book with you. And it was this book, The Celestine Prophecy. Why am I making this video now? So again, it's been however many years, and I finally got around to reading the book. I just finished it. I'm a huge believer that everything happens for a reason. I'm a huge believer that people are brought into and out of your life for a reason. And there's a part of me that knows why I finished the book at this moment, but I'm kind of blown away. I'm kind of blown away. And there is a part of me that's like, why did it take this long? At the same time, this message is coming at a very important, specific, and special time. The year of the fire horse literally begins in less than a week. And anybody who's in any kind of tune with what's going on knows that there's a change coming. There's a shift coming. Humanity is waking up. And so the last thing I'm going to say is that I've always been a huge believer that you choose your parents. And the craziest thing, and that this is all I'm going to say because I do think you should read it for yourself, The Celestine Prophecy, is that this book began to unpack and uncover this question in ways that I've never explored before in my life. So read the Celestine Prophecy.